Well, here we go then. 10 days that will put Boro's automatic promotion credentials to the ultimate test, starting with a trip on Friday night away to Burnley. What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Project Boro Preview Show, the series on the channel where we delve deep into Boro's upcoming opposition and preview the game, as well as give my predictions on the team, the result, amongst much more. And it's safe to say the next 10 days for Boro, as I said in the intro, will give us a really good idea on where Boro are going to be able to challenge this season, because paired with this trip to Burnley on Friday night, the following midweek, we then head to Elland Road to play Leeds United. Talk about a pair of away games back to back, but they're two teams who are between Boro and the top two. And a question that a lot of Boro fans are quite divided on, if I'm honest, is whether we are capable of competing for top two. Now, my honest opinion at this moment in time, and I know it's one that not all Boro fans agree with, is no. I don't think we are. I don't think we've quite got the squad depth when missing key players, as well as the consistency to compete with some of these top sides. And I think also defensively our record just isn't quite good enough, and we'll certainly get into a team who are holding the bar high with defensive records this season being Burnley. But I don't quite feel like we've got enough to compete with both of them. But if Boro were to pull out a miracle or two over the next 10 days, that could massively change my opinion. However, on the flip side, if Boro fail to beat Burnley and Leeds and we see a gulf in class between Boro and these two sides, it will prove that we are a playoff team fighting to consolidate a solid place in the playoffs, and top two will be out of reach. So yeah, a huge period for Boro. So let's get into Burnley. So it's safe to say Burnley have set the world alight defensively this season. And when I've rounded up, the championship as I do on the channel, and I've discussed Burnley in a number of different weeks and covered a lot of different games, I've always said the same thing about Burnley. I've always not been 100% convinced by them. Now, defensively, as I say, they're setting records and might be about to go down as one of the greatest championship sides we've seen defensively ever. But attacking-wise, they're not still, I think, a top two team. They're relying massively on their defence, which puts them on a bit of a pendulum. They could go one way. They could either start scoring goals and keep their defence solid, and then they will just be an unstoppable force. Or, if the goals dry up at one end, and maybe their defence starts to leak a little bit, you might start to see the pendulum swing a little bit, and they'll start dropping the odd points here or there. But the current trajectory they're on, it sounds like they're going to do the former. Their defence seems as solid as it's been, if not more solid than ever, and they're actually starting to score more goals than they have done previously. Now, they're still by far no means a goal-scoring, free-flowing team. I don't think they ever will be under Scott Parker, but they're still managing to take enough chances in games, paired with their clean sheets, to win more often than not. And as I've said in many roundup videos, all this Burnley team needs to do is score one, and they're likely going to win the game. So they're looking very, very good at the moment. And that leads me on to their current position. So Burnley currently sit second in the championship, winning 10 of their opening 18 league games, drawing 6 and only losing twice. They've scored 23 goals, which is okay, but they've only conceded 6, which is absolutely mad. They're also currently the joint most informed team in the league alongside Sheffield United. They've both won 4 of their last 5, drawing only 1. But the difference is Burnley have not conceded at all in their last 5. It is worth noting Boro are right up there alongside them in the form table. So you could say if there's a team who could maybe stop Burnley in their tracks right now, it's, if not Sheffield United, it could be Boro. But as you saw there, Burnley's form is fantastic, not only of late, but in the majority of recent times as well. Not only have Burnley won 4 in a row, but they've lost only once in their last 15. And in them 15 games, they've only conceded 4 times. 4 times in 15 games. It's absolutely mental, and especially at Turf Moor, they're also very, very strong. They're unbeaten at home so far this season. One of only 4 teams who are yet to lose on home soil. They've won 5 of their opening 8 league games, drawing the other 3. So if Boro were to go there, they would have to be the one and only, the first team this season to win at Turf Moor, as no one else has done it yet. And another slight worry for Boro before we get more into their attacking and defensive numbers. As I say, Burnley have started to improve slightly on the goal-scoring front. Their defence has remained incredibly consistent from start to finish, but they're starting to score more. Now, they're not a free-flowing goal-scoring team. Scott Parker teams never are. They're not going to be blowing teams away 4 and 5 every single week, but they're starting to put teams away a little bit more convincingly. A lot of Burnley's wins this season have been by the odd goal to nil, and as I've said in many roundup videos, with Burnley's defence being as good as it is, they only have to score 1 goal to win a game. That's the luxury of the position they put themselves in. But since their 5-0 win over Cardiff in the second game of the season, they'd only actually scored more than once in a game twice in any of their next 14 games. However, they have scored twice in their last 2, winning them more convincingly. So, if there is a positive for Boro, it's that, as I say, Burnley are not the strongest attacking team in the league. So if you put them in a bit of a basketball game, blow for blow, Boro would outscore this Burnley team 9 times out of 10. But if you were to put them in a chess match going the other way, Burnley would keep far more goals out the back of their own net than Boro. So it is not quite the unstoppable force versus the immovable object, because Boro aren't quite the top goal scoring team in the league. But of late, we have scored 18 goals in our last 4. So it is probably one of the hottest attacks right now, up against one of the stiffest defences. And looking at Burnley's attack in more detail, they're only 9th for goals scored in the league, scoring 23. So yeah, they're still top half, you know, they're not too bad, but for a team going for top 2, they remind me a little bit of Boro's promotion team under Aitor Karanka in 2015-16. We defended our way to promotion. Nothing wrong with that. That's what I think Burnley will do, but they are overperforming, even with an attack and a goal-scoring side that is not far off mid-table. They're actually overperforming still. They're 17th for XG in the league, so they're not even mid-table. They're actually in the bottom third of the championship for the number of chances they've created, and their XG sits at around 20.3, so they're overperforming their XG by around 3. So this isn't a Burnley team that create much at all, and even when they have, they've actually scored more than they should have as well. So a bit of a positive for Boro in terms of if Burnley's attack isn't firing, there's a high chance that they won't score at all. So maybe Boro have to only get 1 or 2 past Burnley to guarantee a victory, because is there much chance of Burnley scoring 1 or 2? More times than not, no, but with Boro's leaky defence at times, maybe that's the case. That's what I mean about this game. It could go either way. To back that up further, Burnley are only 16th in the championship for shots on target. They're only 18th for big chances in the league too. So, yeah, not an attacking force under Scott Parker. And as I've said, if things start going wrong there and they start leaking goals, because it's not exactly a very enjoyable style of football, I find that when things go wrong in these sort of scenarios, they can turn wrong really, really quickly. And if Boro if Boro put an early goal or an early 2 goals past Burnley, that could be it. You know, that could literally just turn Turf Moor on its head. And then a Burnley team who don't score all that many are expected to score 3 up against a Boro side to win the game. So it's on a knife edge even then. But we cannot disregard Burnley's defence. And, you know, me saying just, oh, Boro will score 2 is just a completely off-the-cuff comment, because how many teams will score 2 against Burnley this season? The answer is not this many, because defensively, quite honestly, they're out of this world. They've got the best defence in the league. They've conceded only 6 goals in their opening 18 league games. That's an average of 1 goal every 3 games. So to get a few past them in 1 game is crazy. Never mind a run of games. It's ridiculous the job they're doing. And that has gave them the joint most clean sheets in the league. They're joint top with Sheffield United. They're right up there with XG against as well, backing up that their defensive numbers are warranted. However, they're not quite the best team when it comes to XG against. They're actually second behind Leeds, who have the best XG against in the Championship at the moment. And Burnley's XG against is actually 13.9. So given the fact they've only conceded 6, they're actually overperforming hugely on their XG against and the goals that they've conceded. They've been expected to concede 14, and they've only conceded 6, which means they've overperformed defensively by 8 goals, but they're still by far the second best defence when it comes to XG against. They're only just behind Leeds, not by much at all, but the number of goals they've kept out is, quite frankly, a joke. So yeah, something's got to give. Will Boro's attacking force be able to breach this Burnley defence, or will they stand strong and do what they've done to the majority of teams this season? Will they freeze Boro out and be clinical at the other end? It's going to be interesting to find out. As for Burnley's team, however, they have gone with a similar formation to Boro of late. They do match Boro up with a 4-2-3-1 formation, and most of the team has stayed pretty consistent. It has changed slightly from game to game. Their back 5 remains rather consistent. Obviously, James Trafford is in goal. He's had a very, very good season. 3 of the back 4 has been pretty solid since the last few games. They normally have Roberts on the right-hand side. Egan Riley is in the centre-back pairing with Esteve. Don't quite know. Probably butchered that pronunciation. They have switched the left-backs around in the last couple of games with Humphreys coming in their last game. However, they did have Perez in the left-back position prior. I don't know if that's down to an injury, a knock, or a recent suspension. But, yeah, a very consistent, solid back 5 that doesn't change all that much. And if that's the centre-back, and that's the back 5 that plays on Friday night, then Boro are going to have a real test on their hands to break through that defence. They've also had a midfield pairing of Josh Cullen and Laurent, and from what I've heard from a couple of Burnley YouTube channels and podcasts, that's actually been a better midfield pairing. They're the two who've played in the last 2 games instead of Josh Brownhill, who's been coming off the bench. So I've heard that offers a better balance in the Burnley midfield, so I wouldn't be surprised to see them go with Cullen and Laurent again. And the attacking 4 can alter, can change, can move around. They do have Jayden Anthony in there, who does play more often than not. Koleosho could play in there. Sarmiento sometimes comes in, although he did play number 10 last time out. So they can rotate the attacking 3 behind the striker, which has been Rodriguez of late. He's started, I think probably down to Lyle Foster's injury. He is out at the moment, but Jay Rodriguez, the experienced championship striker that he is, has still been coming in and contributing more than well enough. He's up front and might be again if Lyle Foster is not going to be fit. Their numbers, in terms of players to look out for, found this really surprising actually. Burnley obviously aren't the highest scoring team in the league, so even then, they share the goals around quite a bit. Their top goal scorer is actually Josh Brownhill himself with 6 goals. 2 of them have been penalties in fairness, but they don't have an outstanding goal scorer up front. Brownhill's got 6, and then you drop down to, as I say, that attacking 3 behind the striker who've sort of shared the goals around. Jayden Anthony's got 2, Sarmiento's got 2, Koleosho's got 2, Rodriguez has got 2. There's a number of other players from defence through to midfield who've chipped in with a goal each. So they don't have a standout goal scorer. Same with assists, really. They have a number of players who've all got 2 assists. Jayden Anthony, Lucas Perez, Connor Roberts, all got 2 assists. A lot of other players in there chipping in with 1 assist to their name. And it's the same for goal contributions. Josh Brownhill's top of that with 7. And then there's a bit of a drop-off again to Jayden Anthony, who's got 4. And then another drop-off again to Koleosho, Rodriguez, Sarmiento, Perez, only with 2. So there's not one player you could look at in the Burnley team that strikes the fear of God into you, I guess, as a Boro fan, but you could equally be just as fearful by the fact that they've got contributors coming from all angles. They've got players who are coming in and scoring goals from different positions, whether that's defenders, midfielders, attackers, same with assists as well. And as I keep saying, when you're not letting anything in at the other end, it doesn't matter who pops up and scores that one single solitary goal, because that one single solitary goal is probably going to be enough for them to win the game anyway. As for the Boro team then, this I think is pretty solid, I would say. There's still 1 or 2 out, but we were surprised by a couple of really good positive inclusions at the weekend against Hull City. So I feel like this team is a lot more set than it maybe could have been. I have gone with Dieng back in goal. I'd be astounded if he, with another week of recovery, he's not back in for this one. As I say, Solbrin's done really, really well, but Dieng's been out for 3 games now. And if it's nothing more than an illness, he should be back. If there is some sort of a knock in there that they're giving him a bit of time to rest on, then maybe. But I've gone with him in goal. The back four is as it has been recently. Ayling, I have put Edmondson and Clark back in. We don't know why Clark was dropped, or I've not heard why Clark was dropped for Dale Fry in the weekend's game, but that was Fry's first game in 9 months, and it was a great game for him to come back into. I don't think he'll then be thrown into a game against Burnley, so if Matt Clark's fit, I'd expect him to start. We were obviously delighted to see Hayden Hackney back in at the weekend, so I'd like to think he'll start again, probably alongside Barlasser. You know, he might start Howson. I mean, I can see him starting Howson in one of these two games, and quite honestly, I would much rather have Howson in this game than the Leeds game. I feel like Howson would be overrun massively in the Leeds game, where the intensity and the speed of play back and forth could just be too much for him. So that might ensure that maybe Howson starts this game over the other, but, you know, Barlasser and Hackney, I think, did okay against Hull at the weekend. And although I don't quite think Barlasser has the physical attributes, you know, to read the game, intercept the game, and protect the back four in any sense, I feel like this game could suit him if he's given the time and he can spray balls around. So I'm going to go with the same midfield pair. And I do think the front four is going to look like this. Ben Doak will start on the right. He's imperative in these sort of games. Azaz, one of the best players in the Championship right now. And I've gone with Bergzorg. I've heard McGree is pushing hard to be fit for the Burnley game. Quite honestly, I can't see it. I feel like these sort of away games would suit Bergzorg anyway, and he's done really, really well. He's improving massively. I really don't mind seeing Bergzorg coming in now if McGree isn't fit, and he might just offer that extra bit of directness on the left-hand side that might catch this Burnley team out and give them something extra to think about. You know, Doak on one side, Bergzorg on the other, might give us our best chance of really getting in behind this Burnley team, and that's why I've stuck with Lattilath as well, because it depends on Burnley's setup, and I keep saying this when it comes to Borough's centre-forward. Conway, yes, he got a brace at the weekend, proved to be a great decision by Carrick. Will Burnley sit deep and let Boro have the ball at Turf Moor? I can't see it. So if we are going to, you know, give this Burnley defence anything to worry about and put them under any sort of pressure, which seems like it's really difficult to do, Lath's the better option. You know, his pressing ability, his ability to chase them down, maybe dispossess them, run down the sides, run in behind. I feel like he will just give them so much more to think about than Tommy Conway. And you want to disrupt this Burnley defence. We need to make them as uncomfortable as humanly possible. Lattilath is the man to do that. And that leads me on to the head-to-head, which isn't bad reading for Boro. It's actually really even between the two teams. Now, we've sort of been in and out against Burnley over the years. I think when we got promoted, I think they went up with us. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I can't remember. They've obviously had a bit of a spell in the Premier League as well. But since 2010, we have played each other 15 times. And the results have been shared right down the middle. Burnley have 6 wins, Boro have 6 wins, 3 draws in that time as well. So very, very even in the last sort of 15 years. And Boro actually had a really decent record against Burnley in the mid-noughties. In and around that time, we got promoted to the Premier League. But since then, it hasn't been as good because Boro haven't beaten Burnley since our promotion season in 15-16. We beat them at home 1-0 in the December of 2015. And I think that was the season they went up as champions, wasn't it? So, of course, they went up the same year we did. I'm sure they did. But we beat them that season at home. We haven't beat them since in what's our last 5 meetings. So, Burnley have the slight edge over Boro in our last 5. They beat us at the Riverside last time they were here. It was in that game in April, notably when they got themselves promoted to the Premier League. They also beat us in the reverse fixture 3-1 in the December. So, yeah, they've had the better of us in recent times, and at Turf Moor, Boro haven't won there since April 2014, so it's over 10 years since Boro last won at Turf Moor. But as I say, both teams have had spans and spells in the Premier League since then, so even though it sounds like we haven't beaten Burnley at Turf Moor in over 10 years, there's only actually been 3 visits to Turf Moor in that time before Boro. But they certainly have the edge. Boro have got to find a way of turning it around, which makes me finish on my prediction. Now, it may be quite a predictable prediction, but when you've got one of the best attacks up against the best defence, you kind of feel like one will cancel the other out, and that's what I've gone for. I do think Boro will breach Burnley's defence, but I don't think we'll breach it very, very much. And I feel like our defence is just a little bit shaky enough to give Burnley a chance, and they're quite clinical. Even when they don't create much, they still find a way of scoring. So I think pairing them two together I'm going to go with a draw. And I'm going to go Burnley 1, Boro 1. I've said, would I take a draw? 2 draws in the next 2? I'd rather win 1 and lose 1 because you get more points, but don't want to lose either, I guess. And you don't want either of these teams to pull any further away, because if Burnley beat us, the gap to them is then 9 points, which seems pretty unsurmountable given their strong form. I think for Boro to turn that over would be monumental. So it's kind of imperative we don't lose. So I'd take a draw. I'd be happy with a draw. A win obviously would set us up perfectly for the Leeds game. But I'm going to go 1-1 down the middle. Just don't feel like Boro will breach the defence enough, but we'll have to wait and see. And one final surprise, I guess, is I'm going. Which probably has you all switching off in fury, given my appalling away record. Obviously, never seeing Boro winning in the league in over 10 years of going to away games. That's a true record. I shit you not. It's on my TikTok. My record of supporting Boro on the road in the league. Still yet to see us win. I'm hoping this is the one, but I am going to Turf Moor on Friday night, which means, yes, not only will I be back to review this game with my usual Project Boro review over the weekend, I'll also be bringing you guys a match day vlog as well. So can I finally see Boro win on the road in the league? This would be one hell of a game to break that duck. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Are we now doomed because I'm going? Is it now a guaranteed L because I'm going? Wouldn't surprise me if that's what you guys think. But let me know your predictions and preview and your thoughts, your predicted team in the comment section below, and what you think will happen in this incredibly intriguing game between two of the most informed teams in the league right now, but yet two teams who are so much opposite to one another as well. It's very, very intriguing. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, if you've enjoyed the video, do hit a like on the video and subscribe for much more. Hit the bell too so you never miss when a video drops here on the channel, and comment below your thoughts, as I say. And if you want to listen to this over on your chosen podcast provider, there are links in the description for you to do so. And if you are listening over on your chosen podcast provider, give me a like, a rating and a follow over there as well. But until next time, guys, I'll be back at some point over the weekend with a review of this game and a match day vlog. Lots to come. Fingers crossed, I'll finally see Boro win away in the league. It's going to be tough. I'll see you all in the next one.